Well, if there's one thing that you can rely on, it's time carrying on, whether we're ready for it or not, which is actually really reassuring because this summer has started to feel a hell of a lot like Groundhog Day. We wake up, it's hot, go outside, it's hot, go to bed, it's still hot. I'm actually at the point now where I'm beginning to wonder whether the heat wave is still happening or, well, actually, I finally lost the plot and it's just my own personal climate is what it is from now on. But the calendar, thankfully, is rather more reliable than my own internal thermostat. We are now well into August and the fields around us are being harvested as I speak. The straw is lying in rows waiting for the baler and time is most definitely moving on. Whether or not it's normal to be doing these things at this time of the year is a different question. Now, for a few weeks, we have been taking stock. If you've been with us, you'll know what I'm talking about. It all started with Stephen asking me a question that I really didn't want to hear. What I was going to talk to you about was Stephen asked me a question the other day that made my heart absolutely drop. And the question was, should we move? But the reason behind this was because of, well, essentially a lot to do with the fallout of the state of the world, what's been happening. And we have found out that our mortgage is going up by a ridiculous amount of money in August. Now, you guys know we don't generally talk about anything financial related unless it's how much the pigs have cost us to raise, because that's interesting. We stay away from politics and we stay away from finances because this is what we enjoy, is what's on this channel, and neither of those things, in my opinion, are enjoyable, because in his eyes, as I say, the amount of money that is going up for what literally the banks are just getting it and we're not changing anything, it just feels as though you're being ripped off, basically. And I know people have various different opinions on all of that. And so Stephen was genuinely, do we let them do this? Do we just take this into our own hands and, you know, cut our losses and move? And the thought of not living here, because I'm thinking with my heart, he's thinking with his head, it's just awful, like absolutely awful. So while we haven't got an answer just yet, we're definitely working on it. But unfortunately, while we're busy trying to work out what we want to do with the rest of our lives, the bank doesn't give two hoots about any of that. It wants its money. And it has now very helpfully taken the first increased mortgage payment. So that extra money now has to be accounted for this month, next month, and every month going forward. So we're going to be getting on with exactly that and showing you some bits as to how we're going to manage all of that. But in the meantime, this whole taking stock chapter has definitely opened up a much bigger conversation than one that we started with, about this place, about how we're living here, our health, and whether we can keep on doing this for many years to come, and ultimately what we actually want out of the next few years of our lives and what that might look like. The little rules that we've been making along the way have really, really helped us to start unpicking some of that. But we're nowhere near finished that conversation by any means. So anyway, enough pondering the meaning of life. Let's get back to something I can actually get my teeth into, and that's feeding the pigs. Another Monday and another pig filling water session. Don't worry, I don't just do it on a Monday, but last night it rained. Not much. You can't even tell on the drive bit here, but it did a little bit. But at the end of the working day, at least the paid working day now, and we're going to feed the pigs first because Stephen's been doing a job outside and it's just time for them to have the tea. And he said they've been shouting on non-stop. So they're clearly hungry today, so I'm going to grab their food and head down, double check they're all okay. If you've never heard pigs squealing for something before, then you'd be forgiven for thinking that there was some sort of monstrosity, bad behaviour going on, i.e. somebody was getting murdered. They are extremely loud. Sorry, we're multitasking doing this. And when we very first moved here 10 years ago, there's a farm on opposite us that he does pigs. And the noise of all of his pigs squealing on a morning, the first time I heard it, frightened the blooming life out of me. Right, let's just have a quick look. They look absolutely fine from here. This snorting isn't the squealing noise I'm on about, but they're clearly getting irate waiting, so I'll feed you before you climb over the fence because I know that's coming next. And that's the view you get by way of a thanks. Yes, so when we moved in, it was the January time, and I think it was literally a couple of weeks into, maybe the early February. It was the middle of January when we moved in, so early February, when I heard it, and I was going across from the house to the barn in the morning before work, and at that time of the year, still absolutely pitch black, and heard this horrific noise, and thought, oh my goodness, there's genuinely something happening, something wrong. Little did I know, it was just the pigs. So there was no need to let the authorities know at that point. But I did think, is this why they moved? Is there something wrong? Have we got some strange neighbours that should be locked up? Anyway, I too was just being a bit of a drama queen. So I'm going to get Sonic the pony's food done to soak now. He's outside after work. Obviously during the day when there's nobody here to let him out on those days. And he can only go out for the evening, which to be honest hasn't been too bad today, even though it's been warm. It's not been too warm in the barn when I came in just before I did the pigs. But what I did pick the camera up to talk to you about was we have been for our Aldi shop this week, and it's come in at £52. Now that did include things at the kids' requests. So minus their stuff is probably, I'm going to say a tenner. I haven't done the maths just yet. And also I got some washing pods and maybe one or two other things. I think Stephen and I are coming in on an average of, I'm going to say an average of 20 to £25 a week for the two of us. But obviously on top of that, the kids are in there as well. And we can't not feed the children. So those costs will be, that's what's coming out of the bank ultimately, and that's what we need to be thinking about. So even though it's only Stephen and I might only be costing 20 to 25, it's about what's leaving the bank. Kids are being absolutely fantastic, totally knuckling down with us on this challenge of keeping our grocery shop super low. If you're new and you're wondering what on earth I'm talking about, we are trying to offset how much our mortgage has gone up by, which is a significant amount of £300 a month, by reducing in other areas, and the grocery is one thing that we've got more control over. Obviously at this time of the year the garden is quite abundant, so it's much easier to do that at this time of the year. It's actually really warm in this greenhouse, so I'm going to do what I need to do and get on and get out of the heat, even though I'm in the shade. So yes, we're making fantastic progress in that department every week. I'll obviously continue to make improvements wherever we can. But essentially we're using as much as we can from the garden, from the freezers, and then thinking about what we can take into the winter, so that we're obviously going to be trying to keep costs down into the winter, because then that's when they go up from a usage point of view, with the darker nights, the colder nights, etc. Not that at the moment it feels anything's going to be cold anytime soon, but we do know it'll come. So continuing to prepare in that sense, and I'm going to show you one or two things if I get a chance this week of what we're having for our meals, how we're making food stretch. The chicken meatloaf, I'm not too sure how to refer to that, a loaf, a meat loaf, so a meatloaf. That has gone down fantastically this week. Stephen said it was really nice. It's actually this week, it's only Monday, so he's taken that today. I asked him when he got home, he said yeah, really nice, so we can do that again moving forward. And it was even better because we used the bits of chicken that might end up just staying, going into stock and things like that. So I'm really thrilled that we've managed to get that done, and that'll be literally meals for the full week. For lunches, we choose to take lunch with us, so that's going to keep costs down there. We've always done that, but yeah, it's much easier to be in control of the cost and actually what you're putting into your body. Right, this week's meatloaf, or whatever we call it, loaf of meat, is chicken. So I've actually got the trimmings from those chickens that we did recently, and I've done them in the food processor, which I think was recommended on a previous comment. So that is working absolutely fine, it looks like. Tried to avoid turning it into too much of a paste. We'll see what it's like when I mix it. And in here I've got some oats that I've blitzed, about a cupful. I think there's about maybe 1.4 kilos of meat in here. I'm just going to play it by ear. Parsley, dried parsley, some onion, some minced garlic. So I found this in the back of the pantry, and we're obviously trying to get through some of the older stuff. I'm going to go and grab a couple of eggs, and then I'm also going to put in something random, but we shall see how it turns out. HP sauce, because I don't have any Worcestershire sauce to go in here, and again we're using what we've got. And I'm also going to, I got these for Christmas and I totally forgot a while ago now. And I'm going to get these used as some instead of black pepper. So We'll see what it turns out like. It'll be edible, if nothing else, I'm sure. Okay, I'm not sure if I said, but there's 2 teaspoons of sage salt in there as well. So we are using up that sage salt. The bowl is now empty, and this has literally, I thought this was a 1 kilo, is that right? I can never remember how you work out the size of your tins in terms of how much they take, but it just so happens that fits in perfectly. I'm not sure if I'm going to put a glaze on or not, but that's what it looks like before it's gone in. Fingers crossed it works, because this is going to be lunch for the week, certainly for Stephen, and maybe for a couple of days for myself. Fingers crossed. And that's the finished product the next morning. We did cut some off to try, and it crumbled a touch, but it's actually looking really good. So the proof will be in the eating, as they say, which Stephen will be doing today. So I've just done some eggs for him to take with this, and then he can report back tonight. This is another one that's been just sat on the shelf looking at us. It's the dill relish, which actually when you open it smells amazing. So that is what Stephen is taking along with his meatloaf and eggs today. Right, last night then we took all of the leftovers that were in this bed, which was predominantly weeds. There was some yarrow that's in the wheelbarrow there that was in this bed, tidied all of that up and cleared everything out of this bed ready for sowing at the winter seeds. So we're going to get on and do that next. I've literally just gone over it with the rake this morning, and you can see there's still bits and pieces from the cabbages that were in there, but they'll just rot in absolutely fine with that. And I've just given it a water because it is unbelievably dry. So this is the first task, and basically when it's done you're not going to see any difference because all of the seeds will be underneath, but rest assured this will be jam-packed with all of the winter sowings. So after getting the onions hung safely up for winter, the next day presented us with a slightly more urgent problem. We'd noticed that one of the pigs didn't really look quite right, and before long a second one seemed to be following suit. We did wonder whether they'd been helping themselves to too many apples, but at the same time we noticed that despite having 2 houses they can use, all 4 pigs insisted on squeezing themselves into the same one. Now, quite literally squeezing themselves in, standing on top of each other at times. Given that we lost a pig last year and wondered if that was due to being trampled, it wasn't something that we wanted to take a chance on. So rather than leaving it until the next morning and hoping that everything was going to be fine, we decided there and then, despite bedtime quickly approaching, we needed to get on and build them a bigger, more appropriate house so we can get the other one closed off.
Right, well, it's Monday tea time, back down at the pig pen. We had a very interesting Sunday night, so we've just come down to feed the pigs while they're occupied having the feed. Just come to do a few finishing touches on the new pig shelter because this was a rush job to get it together last night. We came down Sunday afternoon and we noticed one of the pigs wasn't looking the best. So we came in to check on them. We never normally see them in the house. So it turns out 4 of them don't fit in the house. So there was loads of room when we first put them in here. They were only small, but we've come down and noticed 3 of them were in there like sardines, and when they tried to get out they're stamping all over each other. So we couldn't go to bed last night and leave them like that, so we gathered a few materials together, what we could find, and we've just shot this together last night. So I literally just put it up. It was about 9:15 when we finished. It was getting dark, so I laid in bed last night at 2:30 this morning. I woke up and I thought, oh hell, I forgot to screw it to the actual base, so that's what I've come down now to finish off. I'm going to screw it all in. I'm just going to find some wood kicking around. I'm going to board all this up, board this section up here so it's nice and contained and it's all waterproof and cosy and we'll easily get 4 in there. Tracy did come down to feed them this morning and said there was 2 in here and 2 in the original one, so they are using it, they are liking the space and keeping separate, and we've just come down to feed them. All 4 of them are up on the feet, they're all feeding, so hopefully that'll have solved any problems caused by overcrowding.
Time to harvest the small eating apple tree. Now these ones are firmly for us and not for the pigs. Some of them have actually already been pecked at by the birds, so we'll be cutting out the bad bits and making sure we use those straight away as part of a fruit salad. They're absolutely lovely, and this variety is called Discovery. It's more of an earlier eating apple for us here in the northeast, so Stephen is separating out some for the chickens and some for us. So the ones that have gone too far will absolutely go to the chickens, and given that the chickens live in the orchard just next to where Stephen is harvesting here, they're already having a good fair share, although they don't tend to gorge on them quite as much as the pigs do, thankfully. Well, there's only one thing that we're going to be doing with the homegrown cabbage that we harvested yesterday, and that is making coleslaw, because we are in for another week of hot weather. So I've grabbed 2 carrots that I've peeled. I'm going to blitz these, grate them, not blitz them, in the food processor. And then I've just washed the cabbage, which is just in the distance there above the carrot. And I'm going to use the S-hook or whatever it's called, not the door hook, the one that shreds rather than grates. And I've got a little red onion from the garden as well. So we're going to get all of that put into a bowl, and then I'm going to try and make some of our own mayonnaise. World's smallest onion, but really flavourful. Now all I've done is wash this off and put it onto a tea towel so it absorbs the water that's going down the bottom of it. I'm going to try just blitzing it like this. We'll see what happens. I might end up having to shred it a bit more with a knife. Cabbage in, so that's our 3 layers. Right, onto the mayonnaise, which I haven't made for ages, so I had to remind myself how to do it. We're going to use the stick blender version, or try the stick blender version. I've got an egg, which was kindly laid by our hens, so thank you very much, girls. 200 mils of olive oil. I've literally just got boring, plain olive oil in a plastic bottle. Terrible, I know, from the supermarket. I was going to get some rapeseed oil to make it, and I thought, I'm not going to make go and buy some specially just for this. If it turns out nice, and rapeseed is better, because that's what I read, we shall see, then I'll try that next time. And I've also got some mustard powder and some cider vinegar and salt are going to go in as well. So let me show you how this turns out in the end. I'll try and video it, but if it doesn't, I'll show you the end result. Right, it said put everything in a particular order. I read that after I put it in, never mind, we'll see how it goes. And this is my special ingredient. I haven't got any honey. It was saying to use as a sweetener, so I've shouted somebody who's strong enough to open it, and then we're going to give that a go, because homemade orange marmalade that didn't work out. It's going to be embarrassing if you don't do it. It's really, really full. Oh dear.
Chicken feed.
You did bloody spill it. Right. So a reminder, it says put it in and then just blitz it. Don't move it for 10 or 15 seconds. Let's see what happens. Oh my goodness, I have no idea how long to do it for. So as I said, we're making a liquidy salad dressing. Epic fail, epic fail. I thought it had worked, but obviously it hasn't. So then I added another egg yolk, more mustard, salt, black pepper, and basically just turned it into a very liquidy salad dressing. I have added the juice, the liquid rather, of that orange marmalade that didn't set, which is actually really, really nice. So this should be kind of an orangey salad dressing. I'm going to pour that over the vegetables, the bowl that we've done, and then we're going to have that with some chicken. Final verdict. I think it looks nice. We've literally, whoops, oh my goodness, so slippy, used pretty much all of it. Very last drizzles there. Verdict?
Yeah, good.
That's as good as it gets
Very
from
good.
Stephen. Well, I've been having a good think about the last few weeks and everything that we've been discussing as part of taking stock, and those rules that kind of naturally came out as part of this series. So I thought I would finish this video by quickly reflecting on them and talking about where we are now. Because there's absolutely no point in coming up with those if we're just going to promptly forget about them. So the first one came very quickly and very naturally, and that is use what we have. Now the irony is we're picking all of these strawberries fresh, and we will be eating them fresh. We have been eating them fresh, but we have not yet used all of last year's. But part of taking stock is thinking, well, actually, if you've still got last year's harvest in the freezer, or some of it, not all of it, you know, that's fantastic because we've got like a huge amount of food, but it's also a little bit ridiculous as well, isn't it? So part of growing isn't just the growing and the picking, it's the using. And sometimes, no excuses, but that's doesn't get done as well as it should be done. And we have peaks and troughs, like everybody, in different things, I am absolutely sure. But really, if we look back and we're not here anymore, is that not going to be one of the things that I would be disappointed in myself for, thinking that I didn't make the most of it? And I have to say, I think we're doing really well with that one. I'm not just saying that lightly. I genuinely believe that we have made some changes, which I find that this is one of the things that over the years I have kept coming back to in terms of using what you have over the different challenges that we've done, etc. And this has been a bit of a reset again there, and hopefully we're not going to need it again. But in terms of a reminder to use what you've got in the freezers, use what you've got in the garden, even if you're tired, work around that, do it ahead of time when you're not tired, make the meals from scratch. You know, that's not to say we're never going to eat out again or anything like that, but genuinely use what you have. Stephen is absolutely fantastic at that when he's building things around the smallholding, etc. But when it comes to what we're eating, what we're preserving, all of those good things, we need to make a conscious effort to continue using what we have, and that will continue to then be reflected in the grocery budget, which it has already, I'm pleased to say, which has helped us make that first mortgage payment. And then we get to rule 2, which was think beyond today, and this one hit me a lot more than I thought it might have done. So this is probably where we've got the most work to do, shall we say. I'm back here in the vegetable garden, which is the most obvious one where we can think beyond today. And I find that I'm fantastic during the winter at thinking beyond today and what everything that we're going to get done in March, April time when sowing comes along, and that's where it stops. Then after that, I start going into what needs doing today and don't always get round to that. So thinking beyond today is not just about doing it when it suits, it's about continuously doing that. But it's not just about doing it in the vegetable garden, and I've had some fantastic ideas. I know, got to implement them, not just think about them, as to what to do here. But it came as a bit of a shock when we started thinking about ourselves. So it was actually here in the vegetable garden when we started taking stock of that, and we had that conversation as well. But that actually ties in, as I say, to what I was thinking about. Taking stock is not just about taking stock of what we've got tangibly and material things, but taking stock of ourselves as well. But that's something that we've been looking at. Now, I'm there in the background doing what I do, and there's only so long that I can hide away from the fact that I've got a significant amount of weight that I want to lose. Want is the key word there, because you've got to want to do it, and so far I've kind of been okay with how things have been as well. So all of that for me personally is going to be feeding into the next few weeks and months and ongoing. For Stephen, I joked about it yesterday, I think it was, on the camera, saying that, you know, he needs to learn to rest as part of this week as well, and totally flip to what I'm talking about for myself. You know, if you wait to rest until all of the jobs on a smallholding, or probably anywhere in life, are done, you'll never get to rest. And resting isn't just about being lazy and sitting down, it's obviously the recovery aspect of it as well, and letting your body catch back up, etc, etc, because that has health impacts as well, whether it's sleeping, whether it's what's going on inside that you might not be able to see. And we need to give our future selves the best fighting chance that we can. So we've got a couple of different things to work on, polar opposites, but hopefully we'll meet somewhere in the middle. Now, I'm pleased to say that I have had some personal thoughts around that. What I mean by personal is about myself, not personal. I can't talk about them. And I've been implementing them, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be seeing the results in the not too distant future. And I actually feel really good about it, where previously, when I've started trying to take better care of myself, it's been boring, I haven't enjoyed it, I felt like I'm missing out on something and all of those things. But this time is different. Whether it's because it's part of this or not, I really don't know. But I'm pleased to report back that thinking beyond today, not just for the vegetable garden, but from a health point of view, is really looking positive too. Same for Stephen, don't worry, I'm not just being selfish and thinking about myself in this one, and we've made some good changes there as well. We'll talk about these over weeks and weeks. It's not kind of, we're not just going to go into everything now, just reporting back on how we feel we're doing for each one. Now, rule 3, be a good steward. I thought that we would have the boxes ticked for all of this. Now, when it's come to it and I've started trying to scratch beneath the surface on this one, being a good steward for the animals, we always do what is best for the animals in our opinion, or at least we try to do what's best for them. So prime example is what we were doing with the pigs the other night. We weren't going to go to bed and leave them knowing that actually that might be the night when some damage is done for something that we just realised, you know, where Sonic needs his paddock extending and it takes ages and it's only for 2 foot of extra space. We do what we believe is right for them, and whether people agree or disagree if that was the right choice is kind of irrelevant, because that's us being good stewards of everything here on the Smallholding.
Right, so we're just going to extend Sonic's little paddock a little bit at a time, because we don't want him to get too much grass all at once, because he is susceptible to problems when he gets too much grass. So he's got this little bit at the minute which he's stripped bare, so we're just going to extend it by 3 metres, and then when he stripped this bit we'll just keep moving it along every 3 metres. And the reason why we're doing it here, he's got plenty of shade under here. I'm just going to bring me saw down, cut that off, so I don't want no poke his eyes out or out like that, no more problems. So that's the only reason we're doing it, and then just keep him off the rest of the field. Right, well, we've just got finished up with that. I know it looks like a bit of a pain in the arse to do just for that much, but that's what's best for the animals, and I suppose that's what you have to do at the end of the day. What's best for the animals, not what's best for us. So like I say, we'll just leave him on this bit, and then after a couple of weeks when he's grazed that down, we'll just keep moving him along.
But when I actually started getting into these thoughts a little bit more and going down multiple rabbit holes, there's plenty of examples where we can actually be better stewards. And we've got some time off coming up at the end of August into September. And there's an example there that I'm going to show you. I'm not teasing you about that. I just don't want to get into the detail in this video of something that I've not given enough thought to before. And I can safely tell you it's not on Stephen's agenda either. He hasn't even had this conversation with me, and this is the first he's going to know about it too. And while I've been going over these rules and looking back at old videos and the blogs and things, one thing has absolutely come to light, that it is quite easy to drift away from the things that are important to you. And the interesting thing is that you don't notice it happening. It just happens on ordinary Tuesdays as the weeks pass by, and before you know it, you've drifted. So on the days when we wake up and we think, that's okay, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start next week or whatever, that on its own is absolutely fine as long as you do it. But when those weeks turn into months and years, that's when the drift just turns up and nobody even realises that it's happened until you stand back and take stock and actually think about it like we've been doing. So for me, the weeds might be accumulating, the jobs around the Smallholding might be accumulating, the weight might be accumulating, because the thing that really is accumulating that we don't have any control of is time. We've been here 10 years now, and that's why I'm talking about the time side of things, because one thing I wanted to do this year was do a month by month look back at those 10 years, and we're in August and that hasn't happened. And there's probably very good reasons that I've given along the way for not getting that done. But one I'm becoming really aware of is that those reasons really turn into excuses. And sometimes that's absolutely fine, but it is turning into 10 years of being here and thinking, hang on, let's get back to what we actually wanted when we moved here. Integrity comes into that somewhat as well, and doing what we said we were going to do. And it's just keeping that in the back of our mind and thinking, don't drift, don't let that happen. What an absolute criminal waste it would be if that was to become the reality. So that takes us to the final rule of our Taking Stock series, which is a nice and easy one of don't drift. I want us to be consciously thinking, are we moving away from the things that we said matter to us? And is the life that we live in still reflecting the life that we want? So although we might not have answered the big question, we have taken stock and we are in a very happy place. And for everything that we've identified through those 4 rules, I think it's now time to start actually doing it. So we will see you on the next video. Thank you very much for watching.